The 12 principles of animation. 1. Anticipation. 2. Follow through, overlapping action. 3. Secondary action. 4. Exaggeration. 5. Slow in, slow out, ease in, ease out. 6. Squash and stretch. Squash and stretch is the changing shape of an object as a result of impacts with other objects. A soft bouncing ball is a good example. The ball squashes as it hits the ground and stretches as it leaves the ground. The crucial quality is that the object never changes volume, just shape. Anticipation is a movement that precedes a larger movement and goes in the opposite direction. This smaller movement builds momentum to enable the character to make the bigger action. Classic examples are a pitcher throwing a pitch, a golfer driving a ball, or a character starting a run with a big wind-up, exit stage left. While these are pretty broad actions, anticipation should precede even the smallest of actions, like a character taking his first step. The only time I don't use it is on eyeball turns and camera moves. Follow through, or overlapping action, is the opposite of anticipation. When the character finishes a move, his weight will exceed his destination a little and then settle back. This applies to all limbs as well. When a character's body comes to a stop, his shoulders would keep going in the original direction before settling back, then his elbow would do the same, then his wrist would do the same. This delayed affect is like a rubber hose or wet noodle and looks much more interesting than having all joints move at exactly the same time. Secondary action in its broadest definition is an action that follows another action and supports the first action, but doesn't compete with it. This technically can refer to a character getting punched and then starting to cry. The crying supports the previous action but is less significant and doesn't compete with the first. More typically in the working world, people refer to secondary action as an object that is attached to a character but is separate from them and it moves with a delay. This object moves later than the character. Imagine a flimsy feather in the hat of a character or the cord of a small appliance that you are moving around. Though not really a separate part, a horse's tail is another typical example. These objects move in a very delayed fashion and are sort of an extreme form of follow-through. Slow in, slow out, or ease in, ease out, is the process a character goes through when leaving a stationary position and reaching a stationary position. The character starts out slow and accelerates and later decelerates before coming to a stop. Exaggeration is the enhancing of movements. This is present in all types of animation, whether realistic or cartoony. The remaining 6 principles of animation. 7. Timing. 8. Straight-ahead animation or pose-to-pose animation. 9. Appeal. 10. Staging. 11. Solid drawing, solid posing for 3D. 12. Arcs. Timing refers to having believable, naturalistic timing between a character's various actions. This is not normally even or predictable, as normal human movement is rarely even and predictable. The timing can mean the difference between a joke getting a laugh or failing. And timing can mean the difference between a character appearing to have thought processes or being a robotic automation. Straight-ahead animation or pose-to-pose animation refers to the approach to animating a scene. 2D cell animation and 3D CG animation are typically done in a pose-to-pose style. A pose is created at one location, then another pose is created at a destination, and then the middle is filled in last. Straight-ahead animation is the way stop motion is done. You start in one location and work frame by frame in a forward direction until you reach your destination. Appeal simply refers to a character being appealing to an audience. Whether good or evil, the character arouses strong emotions from the viewer. This is a combination of physical attributes, personality, and actions. Staging is the presentation of an idea so that it is clear. This idea can be an action, a personality, and a idea so that it is clear. This idea can be an action, a personality, an expression, or a mood. The key idea is that the idea is made clear to the viewer. An important objective of staging is to lead the viewer's eye to where the action will occur so that they do not miss anything. This means that only one idea at a time occur, or else the viewers may be looking at the wrong thing. So, the main object should be contrasted in some way with the rest of the scene. A good example is motion, since the eye is drawn to motion in an otherwise still scene. In a scene with everything moving, the eye is drawn to a still object. Solid drawing refers to drawing strong, believable poses. For 3D, I think of it as solid poses. A strong pose tells what the character is feeling, is attractive to look at, and has weight sitting properly over the feet, so that the character won't tip over. Arcs refer to movements that are not in straight lines. It is both a more natural movement and a more attractive movement. Think of a head turn that dips down between the two still positions or the arcs of a bouncing ball flying through the air,